Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast here at MODEX 2022. I am in the booth joined by Mike Field, who is the CEO of Raymond Corporation. And if you don't know Raymond, they're the red forklifts, right? So,
That's it.
so we've had Mike on the show previously. Actually, I will say, and I'm not saying this because he's sitting in front of me, but it's one of my favorite episodes, and I always kind of quote him on his, he talked about, optimizing before you automate, but I think the quote he said, and it's probably not exact, but he said something along the lines of, if you have a bad process and you automate that process, you're just making bad process faster, basically, right?
You got it exactly right.
There we go. So I love that one, and I've shared that one many, many times with a lot of people. It really resonated with me. So,
Cool.
so welcome back on the show in
Thank
person here this time. It's good to be here, and we did just have your boss on as well, warmed up the seat for you, right?
Yeah,
so
he did.
no pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So why don't you give us, if people are not familiar with Raymond, just give us a quick, brief overview of what it is you guys do.
Sure thing. So we're part of Toyota Industries. That's why my boss was here before.
Yeah.
So we make a whole line of material handling equipment for warehousing and distribution.
Right.
Basically everything you need within the four walls of a warehouse or distribution center to make it go and make it run better. And we try to manage smarter because of that. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. Very well. Good way to put it. Definitely simple and right to the point. And I think you guys have been expanding on your line and your offerings over the last couple of years. Certainly going into automation as well and things of that nature. But at this point, we're coming up on 100 years anniversary for Raymond, right?
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about that, and maybe go through some of the evolutions that have gone through Raymond and kind of where you guys are heading into the future now.
Certainly. Yeah, so in June it'll be 100 years.
Wow.
And, back in the beginning of those 100 years, George Raymond had this idea that if only we had a kind of unit load that we could build upon, then we could figure out how to organize and create a better warehouse.
Yeah.
And so they came up with this double-sided pallet patent. So the first wooden double-sided pallet.
Right.
We got the patent for, and then we gave it away free to the industry to use.
Yeah.
From that, we started building all sorts of hand pallet trucks to move those around, and then evolved into electric versions. And so Raymond has always been an electric forklift or manual forklift manufacturer.
Yeah.
And so we just sort of took that unit load and built upon it and said, how do we make the footprint more condensed? And then how do we make it taller?
Yeah.
And all the products have kind of followed that same approach, always trying to understand what the customer is trying to do, what problems they're trying to solve, what are the industry challenges that we need to help our customers with. And so that's kind of always been who we are and what we do.
Yeah.
With kind of three pillars around innovation, quality, and service. So that's who we are, right from the beginning, and that's who we still are and who we probably will be in the future. So as we've continued to grow that and change that and improve that over time, naturally things evolve. There's new challenges. Obviously now e-commerce has exploded with the pandemic.
Yeah.
With that, a whole new set of challenges, because now if you want a toothbrush delivered to your house, it's not like you go to the store anymore.
Yeah.
And the store had a certain number of steps to get that carton to that shelf. But now there's probably twice as many steps to get that single toothbrush delivered to your house.
Yeah.
So those challenges have changed almost the fabric of material handling. And with that, we recognize this thought process of how do we solve the problems for a warehouse or distribution center, everything within those four walls. And really that comes back to this thought process of intralogistics solutions.
Right.
So, that what are the logistics required within a building to make that happen? And then we have other customers that say, well, I want this to happen in this warehouse, and then this warehouse, and then this warehouse, and all of them be the same, and understand how those are all connected together. So from that, we've started to layer on new technologies, different approaches that enable us to understand better with data, what's happening. And really that's how we've grown into iWarehouse as a solution. It started as telematics, now it has real-time locating solutions for it, object sense to help operators drive better and understand their whereabouts better. Then we also have moved into semi-automation.
Right.
So zoning and positioning to allow an operator to do what he does best, which is picking, not driving the truck.
Yeah.
And that's manifested in zoning and positioning, and another product called Advance that allows the truck to move by itself, and the picker places on the truck as it moves along, all within the control of the operator itself.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to look at those different areas where we think we can add value. We try to build a core competence in picking and the art and science, and more science than art of picking. And from that, we've come back to how do you make that process really work and work seamlessly.
Right.
And we took a page out of what we do in our factories around TPS and lean management.
Okay.
Really understanding the challenges, gather data, analyze the data, and then improve the process. So we've taken that and apply it now for our customers by way of Raymond lean management. And that has created a process, if nothing else, of 3 steps: optimize, connect, automate. And I think maybe we've spoken about that before.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But that whole thought process of understanding the process that you have deeply with the customer, asking hard questions, and then improving it. And then connecting data and using even more data to optimize even further. And then when you're ready and you know what the requirements are to automate, whether it's semi-automation or full automation, then you can be very effective and efficient at that new automation. And as we started the discussion, you don't want to optimize, you don't want to automate a bad process, because
absolutely.
you just do wrong things faster.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it's all come from, and this lean management piece is kind of the lifeblood that runs through that entire discussion and through the entire company. So 100 years of trying to understand customers' problems and solving those problems with them as a partnership, not as a transactional relationship.
Yeah, and I think that's such a great approach to the relationship with the customer, and being able to help them really understand it and understand where they are at actually. Because I think a lot of times, the customers, maybe they have a feeling of where they're at, but then when you actually take a look and peel back the layers and, like you said, collect the data and really understand what's going on, they may be in a totally different position than they thought they were.
Right.
And obviously, I think it's such an important thing too as well, because we're here at MODEX, right? We see tons of automation all around us, robots, automation, everything going on its own. I mean, it's everywhere here this year. It's pretty insane. So, when coming into this as a potential customer, you're looking at all these things and you may be thinking like, oh, I got to get into automation right now. But I think where your approach is from Raymond's perspective, this we called it lean. What was it? Raymond
Lean management.
Lean management services, right? So,
Yep.
With that approach, I mean, you're certainly making sure that the customer is in the right position first to be able to bring in that automation. So, with that being said, this year at MODEX, how are you guys seeing, I guess, the attendees approach the booth and asking, how do I get into automation? How is that conversation going?
Yeah, there's a vibe this year that I've never seen before. It's very, a lot of intensity, a lot of excitement for just being here at the show. And you're exactly right. They come up to the booth and they're like, I want that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, tell me what you're going to do with that. And that's kind of the discussion that we try to have is what problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
Let's start there. Let's understand what you're trying to achieve because of that. Because, similar to that, automating a bad process, I have another little statement that I try to use is that if you have a thought process of I'm going to do an automation project, it's almost always going to fail.
Right.
Because it's this journey towards automation and towards deep understanding of your processes and what you want to achieve with them that allows you to stepwise automate the right thing in the right way.
Right.
We're seeing actually a lot of customers that are stepping back and saying, that full-blown lights-out automation thing probably really isn't right for me.
Yeah.
I might be much more successful by creating some opportunities for operator assist.
Okay.
So, kind of light automation tools, technologies, and approaches that we can layer on to the great basic forklift and allow the associate to be very effective, to be part of the solution rather than, it's labor.
Gotcha.
And if once you start talking about, well, it's just labor, I think we've all lost. So, there's a lot of, especially now in the COVID or hopefully post-COVID era, there's a lot of people that want to feel like they're part of something, that they're improving something, that, what they're saying and what they're trying to do helps improve what they're doing every day, and hopefully it's a little better tomorrow than it was today. And that lean management and that deep understanding of process allows you for that continuous improvement energy, and letting the associate or the operator really feel a part of everyday improvement, I think is really the key to where you go from there. Because once they get that, then they start to say, well, maybe doing the same simple task over and over again really isn't value added. It's not taking my job away. Oh, that's okay if we automate that. Let's automate that. Can I be part of that automation process and figuring out how to do that? Then you really win. Because if you come in with this automation project, that the quote-unquote the CEO or the CFO says, well, we're going to take labor out of this. Let's put this automation project in. It doesn't get awful good support from the run-of-the-mill guy or gal that's in the warehouse saying, well, that's going to take my job away. So you just try to change that entire thought process and that entire conversation around what technology can do for us and do for people rather than remove labor. So
I think that's a great point, and it's kind of that enabling the employee themselves to be able to help you guide your company's direction and the strategy.
And everybody wants to feel good about their job.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be a drudgery, going to work. Oh, I got to go to work. No, what am I going to do at work today? Oh, this could be cool.
Absolutely. And I think you guys are bringing that type of thing to the table, and like you said, you're looking at the culture and understanding what the operation is all about, and making sure that the right things are being brought in, and then allowing those
at the right time in the right way. All of those things are important.
So with that being said, I mean, what are some of the highlights here for Raymond at MODEX this year? What are you guys showing off in the booth?
So it's a whole suite of different products. Obviously, the great basic products, bringing some of that light automation to the different semi-automation to the different products. As I mentioned, the advanced product, which is a picking support solution, zoning and positioning for order pickers that allows the truck to travel right to the location through a tie-in with the WMS, so the operator isn't overshooting and they aren't too high, they aren't too low, all of those types of things. We do have a full-blown kind of lights-out automated auto reach turret truck that allows throughput and continuous operation without an operator on it. We also have a whole suite of iWarehouse solutions, which are telematics, real-time locating system, object sense, labor management systems.
That's a big one.
So the LMS piece of it, I think, is a great tool because it leverages the data that we're already gathering through telematics in a way to look at what are the opportunities in the facility, what are the opportunities in the processes, and then you're able to pull in the operators and the associates to have conversations about, well, it looks like there's a problem here or an opportunity here that we can improve. How can we go fix that? How can we change that? How can we make your day better because you didn't have to do that same thing over and over again, or you're not walking 50 steps each time for this process. What if we relayed things out and you had to walk 2 steps, or you had to turn, or no more bending over to pick up this part if everything is loaded at waist level sort of thought processes. So all of those things are kind of enabled by this lean management thought process that the technologies support and enable and help you measure the bottom line and the top line, but most importantly, can enable your workforce to do better things faster.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's all about. I mean, especially as we see, I'm sure you guys are hearing this a lot, so the labor shortages and things like that, enabling your existing workforce to do things and, like you said, do them faster and in a better, smarter way as well is certainly something that, I think a lot of the technologies that we're seeing here at the show are trying to address. And it sounds like from Raymond's perspective, you guys are trying to make sure that, these companies are addressing them in the correct way and in the correct path, which I think is really definitely a key thing. So aside from what Raymond is showing in the booth this year, what do you think stands out to you looking across the landscape of MODEX here as something that's really intriguing, or maybe is really like kind of that next thing in our industry?
So I think it's built upon what already exists. So we've seen things as they've evolved over the years. I think it's deeper penetration of software and capabilities.
Okay. Yeah.
At the same time, I worry that I'm not actually seeing as much around training as I thought there would be.
Interesting. Okay.
So we have launched our next generation of virtual reality training system.
Yeah, which is very cool.
Yeah, but you need to come by and get on it because there's no more wires or anything. It's all wireless now, and it's a very cool solution.
Yeah, because when I did it in 2020, it was wired.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all wireless now, and it's even faster than it was before.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of those frontiers that collectively, I don't know that we've driven hard enough for the industry.
Yeah.
So I think that's an opportunity as we go forward. But obviously, there's a lot of focus on unit loads and parcel loads and ease of picking. So I think that's a great thing too.
Yeah.
And we're focusing on that, as I mentioned. Picking is a core competence for us. So.
Okay. All right. Very interesting, and it's always interesting to hear from, I guess, other companies what they think when they see the other things that are out there, and what they think is next. I think that's one of the most interesting things about coming to shows like this is you see things that maybe you didn't even think about, right? And,
right.
Yeah, and being able to see what's kind of next for your industry and going forward and how you can push yourself even more to come up with the next thing, I think is a great thing. So it's great to spur all that innovation within the industry. So Mike, I want to thank you so much for coming by the booth today and coming back on the show again.
No problem.
Like I said, I always appreciate our last episode, our last conversation. That quote always sticks with me. I swear, it's such a good one. So if people want to learn more information about Raymond, how can they do that?
RaymondCorp.com, or if you're here at the show, booth 6008.
Okay, great, and definitely stop by the booth so I can try that new virtual reality.
You should.
So thank you so much, and we'll put more information about Raymond at thenewwarehouse.com. So Mike, enjoy the rest of your show.
Thank you so much, Kevin.